Hey folks, this is Kalani. I want to talk to you about a little bit of a broad subject. This is going to be quite a bit of rambling, but I enjoy these discussion videos, so here we go. We're going to talk about exploration complex. I don't know what else to call it, but basically the idea of exploring a new world, fictitious or not, and what kind of experience that really gives anybody exploring it. So video games is obviously the big one to look at. People enjoy exploring the worlds that people create in video games. World of Warcraft is a very good example. World of Warcraft took the world by storm because it had a huge world to explore. EverQuest before it did the exact same thing. You have all of these video games which had a world to explore, a world which people mapped out, which is pretty fantastic when you think about it. A new experience like that is phenomenal, and that's why I personally enjoy playing any new game I can get my hands on before it gets mapped, before it gets fully documented, before there's guides and write-ups of where every little secret nook and cranny is. It's fantastic to be a part of that initial surge of people who have no idea what the hell they're doing, which is just fantastic. I mean, back in the day with RuneScape, people didn't know where X, Y, and Z was. Knowing where X, Y, and Z was put you in a position of power. You could charge for it if you really wanted to, but just being able to take people around and exploring areas and showing them exactly where things were is pretty awesome. I really enjoy that fact about video games. But why are video game worlds so capable of drawing so many people in? Why do we have this random sense of we need to explore this, we need to document this? Is that just human nature? Because going back in history, the idea of settling the Americas fascinates me as well. Looking back, I can't imagine those people just coming into land, figuring, oh, well, we'll set up a few settlements here, we'll push west, as we do, we'll happily build, and we'll push out the folk who live here already. Maybe a little bit of a touchy subject, but that's basically how it went. And it's just fantastic to see the progression in North America from east to west. When you get to the west, all of the roads are so fantastically set up, to the point where you have really efficient roadways. If you come back to England, we've kind of got a lot of crap roads because we happily built roads and then built on top of them and then built on top of them and then built on top of them. So nothing really changed from the olden days and the old roads, meaning we don't really have a great deal of a system. There is really no system with our roads. Some of the motorways are nice and long and flat and long, but you know, when you go and look at some of the western cities in America, you can see everything was planned beforehand. They didn't place a road randomly. They had a very efficient system, and it's fantastic to see. But as we progress further into the future, people are looking at settling Mars. People are saying it's going to be a failure. People are saying it's no point. But settling another planet? That's the stuff of games, that's the stuff of sci-fi, and that's the stuff which really shouldn't be happening, right? But then we can see farther into the universe than we've ever seen before, and we can see these planets which could very well hold life already, which would be suitable for our needs, to the point where we'd actually have an easier time settling over there than we would on Mars. The only issue, of course, is getting that far. But what is it about exploring new things which just gives us such a sense of elation? It's kind of ridiculous, and it's the main reason, honestly, why I will pick up every new game that comes my way, especially if it's an MMO. An MMO in a new world with people who have no idea what they're doing is one of the best experiences I've ever had. Going back to Guild Wars 2, oh my gosh. The Zerg attitude in Guild Wars 2 at the start was so fantastic that everybody just grouped up. Anybody who got ahead of the Zerg kind of cleared ahead of them and happily did their own thing. I'd like to say I was ahead of the Zerg for most of the time. But when you were a part of that Zerg, no one had any idea what they're doing. Everybody just barreled over anything they could. And people were exploring things. People were helping people complete some of the vistas, some of the points of interest, anything to find something secret in any of this world. It was fantastic, and exploring it with that many people who are also in this awesome sense of exploration complex. I really don't know what else to call it, but it's just a fantastic feeling. But then you get to the point where you kind of know what's in the world and you get a little bored. You get a little stale, stagnant, and you need something else. I kind of want a new game right now, but I want a game that I can explore. Skyforge is a brilliant example of this. Skyforge has some amazing scenery, some beautiful areas, but you can't really explore any of them. There's a huge statue that I remember which you just can't get close to, and then there's a huge backdrop of a city in the main questing hub, I guess. It's in the observatory. There's a huge city in the background, which you can see, you can look at. It's very pretty. It looks kind of like a Coruscant from Star Wars, but you can't explore it. You can't get down there. Even when you take a taxi to a different part of the city, you just get a loading screen. I mean, even if it had the taxi going through the city, showing you a few things, kind of like how SWTOR did, Star Wars The Old Republic, that online game, it would have been a lot nicer. You would be able to see some of it, at least, up close. But I guess there's a reason why you can't go that far, and it's because they are very, very poor textures, and they're supposed to be a backdrop and a background. It's just frustrating to not be able to explore any of it. It feels almost like you're in different pockets of space. There's nothing in between it. When you have a loading screen break up the world, it feels like there really isn't a world there at all to explore, which is really detrimental to a game, especially when you could have so much more with it. Now, on the flip side of that, I've been introduced to a game recently. It's called Elite Dangerous, and it's a space sim, but it's more like a dogfighter space sim, which is kind of interesting. But it gives you a full universe to explore, which hasn't been mapped, hasn't been documented, and you can happily go about as you wish. They've basically given you a nice universe and said, have fun. So nice and sandboxy, doesn't quite have the detail of EVE Online, and you can't quite go as big as EVE Online, so anything to do with corporations, that's kind of not included, and the maximum people you can have in a party, I believe, is 4. So you can run around as a 4 and do whatever you want. You can kill other people, become pirates, become mercenaries, become bounty hunters, happily kill other pirates, be the upstanding citizens that you are, miners, protect the miners, make money, that kind of good stuff. Which is kind of interesting. But then I wonder, what would happen if we took that one step further? What would happen if we kind of clashed EVE Online with Elite Dangerous? What if we had a universe and space sim where you had individual people on a large ship who had to maintain certain systems? It might get a little boring depending on what you're required to do. But imagine if you had EVE Online, where you had your individual characters, but one is controlling the piloting, one is controlling the weapon systems, one is controlling any shield systems. Think FTL, Faster Than Light. Think that, but in an RPG scenario, where you'd kind of have a UI similar to Elite Dangerous, the roles similar to FTL, but in a universe like EVE. I wonder if that's possible. I wonder if people could pull that off, or whether that would be a little too much, potentially, for people. But I imagine that would be such a good game to play. I want to play this kind of game. It's a fictional game. It's completely unreal, kind of unrealistic, potentially not worth, but I have a feeling if we get to virtual reality, that may be something which is kind of pushed forward, where people have these different roles in whatever they're doing. You know, you have RPGs where if you're in a virtual reality, I mean, I guess you kind of already have those roles in most MMOs these days, but I wonder how much it could develop. I wonder what exploring a world with a VR headset would be like, especially if they could do VR properly, where, you know, you're actually in the game instead of still having to use a controller. I guess that's really the end game for me, because that's all I would ever do all day, every day, and I'd probably end up dying because of it. But besides the point, I can't get away from this feeling of exploration, this feeling of freshness and newness, What are the worlds that you've loved to explore? What are the worlds which brought you more enjoyment than you thought possible? And what worlds are you looking forward to explore? Please tell me. I'm kind of desperate for a new world to explore. I need my fix. And I can't really think of anything which is coming out recently, or which came out recently rather, or is coming out in the near future, which would potentially fix that. I mean, there's updates, there's patches, there's expansions, but I can't think of any new, brand new world which I'd like to explore. People need to up their game. Games companies, come on. Less talk about money, more talk about an actual decent game for once in your lives. Cha. But that's kind of all I wanted to talk about in this video. I mean, I want to talk about a lot more, but let's be honest, the rest will be waffle and rambling. So, what are your opinions on this exploration complex? Can you even give it another name? Because that's kind of frustrating me as well. And can you give me another world to explore? If you have any questions or queries, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll try to get back to you. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.